My name is Emily Carter. I'm 29, a marketing executive based in Chicago, and, if I'm being honest, a bit of a hopeless romantic in an age of situationships and ghosting. I never thought I'd be the kind of woman to fall for a scam, let alone the kind that costs you everything. But when you're lonely, a little lost, and someone whispers all the right things into your heart at the exact wrong moment, it's easier than you think. It started, like most disasters in my life, on Instagram. He followed me first. A man named Kareem Al-Mosri. Tall, olive-skinned, with sea-glass eyes and a jawline so sharp it could slice marble. His grid looked like it had been curated by a luxury travel agency. Private jets, gourmet dinners, five-star hotel pools, views of the Burj Khalifa from every angle. I assumed he was a crypto bro or oil heir. The caption on one of his posts read, "Built my empire from the ground up, now I live in the clouds." Usually, I ignored random DMs. But his first message said, "I saw your smile and forgot my next meeting." Corny. But he was that handsome. And when I clicked on his stories, he was speaking fluent French to a waiter in Paris. He messaged again 2 hours later, after I hadn't replied. "If I flew you to Dubai just to hear you laugh in person, would that be enough of a reason for you to say yes?" I laughed. I screenshotted it and sent it to my best friend Camila. "This man is either a prince, a psycho, or broke," she replied. "But God, he's beautiful." I replied, finally. "If you can survive Chicago sarcasm, maybe." That was the beginning of what I thought was a fairy tale. If you have ever been used and dumped, don't keep it to yourself. Drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from. Your thoughts matter. And if you want to stay in the loop for what's coming next, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You will be shocked what I did next. For 2 weeks straight, Kareem messaged me every morning. He always sent voice notes. Deep, smooth, lightly accented. He had a poetic way of speaking, like every sentence had been dipped in honey and rolled in old soul jazz. He'd ask about my work, my dog, my dreams. He told me he'd been divorced 5 years ago and wasn't looking to play games. "I've had the best money can buy," he said in one voice note. "But I've never had something real. I should have known better." But when a man makes you feel seen every single day, it becomes easy to unsee the things you should notice. Like how he never video called during the day. Or how every background behind him looked like a hotel suite, not a home. Still, I melted when he sent a bouquet of orchids to my office. "So you can think of me during boring meetings," the card read. He Venmo'd me $300 to have a self-care weekend, then spent Saturday morning walking me through a virtual tour of the Al Fahidi Historical District over FaceTime, as if we were together. My God, I was falling. Hard. Then came the invitation. "Let me show you my world," he whispered on video call, the Dubai skyline glittering behind him. "Come spend 4 days with me. My driver will pick you up at DXB. Everything's taken care of. Just bring yourself, and a swimsuit." Camila thought I was insane. "Girl, this is how people end up on true crime podcasts." I knew she was right. But something in me, maybe the part that had been ghosted by too many emotionally unavailable men, wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, fairy tales weren't dead. So I did what no responsible marketing exec should do. I requested PTO, packed every outfit that screamed vacation goddess, and boarded a direct flight to Dubai on a ticket Kareem booked for me in business class. When I landed, it was like stepping into a dream. His driver, yes, he really had one, held a sign with my name in perfect calligraphy. The air smelled like oud and desert wind. And then, standing outside a gleaming white Rolls-Royce, there he was. Kareem. Even more beautiful in person. Tailored linen shirt, expensive watch, the kind of smile that makes you forget logic. He kissed my hand like an old movie prince and said, "Welcome to your new favorite memory." God help me, I blushed. The hotel suite he took me to? Presidential level. Views of the marina. Marble bathtub the size of my studio apartment back in Chicago. A chilled bottle of Dom Perignon on the table. We didn't sleep together that first night. He said, I want to romance you like you deserve. No rush. And that somehow made him even more irresistible. Over the next 3 days, Kareem took me on what I now know was a perfectly rehearsed tour. Private boat ride. Rooftop dinners. Designer shopping. Pick what you want, Habibti, this is nothing. He told me he had meetings on and off, but whenever he was with me, it was like he lit up. He said, You're different, Emily. I've dated models, but you see people. It was textbook love bombing. And I was drinking it up like champagne on an empty stomach. Day 4. We had brunch at a beachside spot on the Palm. He introduced me to a woman he called his cousin, Lena. Elegant, with piercing blue eyes and a British accent that sounded straight out of Kensington. Lena kept looking at him strangely. Once, I caught her glancing down at his hand, where a faint tan line wrapped around his ring finger. I asked her how long she'd known Kareem. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Long enough to know he's full of surprises. When I turned back to him, he was already signaling for the check. That afternoon, he kissed me goodbye in the hotel suite. Said there was an emergency in Abu Dhabi, an investor flying in from Morocco, and he had to meet them. I'll be back by morning, he promised, pressing his lips against my forehead. Order anything. I've got everything covered. But by the time morning came, Kareem was gone. So was his number. So was the hotel coverage. It started when room service tried to charge me for breakfast. I thought it was a mistake. But then the front desk called. Then security. Then hotel management showed up at my door asking how I planned to pay the outstanding balance. I laughed, until they slid a printout across the table. $25,408.92. He'd booked everything on a fraudulent card. And the room was in my name. I was detained. My passport was held. The concierge who once called me ma'am now barely looked at me. I was humiliated, sunburnt, and scared. The U.S. Embassy told me to seek local legal advice. I barely had enough on my credit card to cover the balance. Kareem was gone. No social media. No replies. No trace. And as if that wasn't enough, 3 days later back in Chicago, I visited my doctor for a routine screening, and left with a diagnosis of incurable HPV. The fairy tale had turned into a horror story. But this wasn't where my story ended. Because unlike the other women he scammed, I kept everything. Every voice note. Every flirty text. Every flight confirmation and gift receipt. I had all of it. And I wasn't going to cry in silence. I was going to burn his little empire to the ground. Looking back now, the red flags were everywhere. They weren't even subtle. But that's the thing about being love-bombed by a man like Kareem. You start confusing luxury with love. Grand gestures drown out gut instincts. And you start editing your own reality to fit the fantasy you so badly want to believe in. I kept replaying that brunch in my head. Lena, his so-called cousin. Her lingering stare. The way she gripped her mimosa glass when he kissed me on the cheek. That awkward silence when I asked how long she'd known him. Long enough to know he's full of surprises. That wasn't a compliment. That was a warning in disguise. And I ignored it. The morning after his disappearance, I sat in the corner of the hotel lobby wearing oversized sunglasses to hide my swollen eyes. My phone screen glowing like an accusation. No reply. No read receipts. No Instagram profile. It was like he never existed. I approached the front desk for the 3rd time that morning, begging to speak to someone who could explain why I was suddenly liable for a $25,000 bill. The manager, a short, stiff man in a blazer too tight for his neck, looked at me the way someone looks at gum stuck on their Louboutin sole. You signed the check-in paperwork, Miss Carter. The credit card on file was declined. Unfortunately, you are responsible under UAE law. My voice shook. That's not my card. Kareem, he booked the room for us. The manager didn't blink. We have no registered guest by that name. I froze. What do you mean? We checked the security logs. Mr. Almosry never officially entered the hotel under his own name. I was escorted to an office upstairs for questioning. A staff liaison and a security officer sat across from me while I tried to explain the situation without bursting into tears. They didn't care about romance, or betrayal, or heartbreak. All they saw was a woman overstaying her welcome in a suite she couldn't pay for. That's when the liaison, a young woman with soft eyes and a hijab pinned perfectly, leaned forward and asked quietly, "Miss Carter, did he say he worked in import-export?" I blinked. Yeah. He said he owned some logistics firm in Casablanca. She sighed. You're not the first. We've seen this pattern before. Foreign woman, local playboy. He uses a fake card, makes it look like everything's taken care of. When the card bounces, the hotel is forced to come after the guest who signed the check-in. Always the woman. Always gone by day 4. My mouth went dry. What do you mean always? She looked me dead in the eye. You're the 4th one in 8 months. I flew back to Chicago with debt hanging over me like a thundercloud. I maxed out my credit card to pay the hotel and practically begged my bank to restructure the payment into installments. My pride was in pieces. My savings wiped clean. The worst part. No one believed me. Camila tried, bless her, but even she couldn't hide the "I told you so" in her eyes. My parents asked why I didn't just Google him before flying halfway across the world. My coworkers kept whispering behind my back about the Dubai thing. And then came the doctor's appointment. I had booked a routine checkup the day before I left for Dubai. A standard panel. I hadn't expected the call. Emily, I'm afraid you've tested positive for high-risk HPV. It's not life-threatening, but it's incurable. The line went silent. I just sat there, in the middle of my apartment floor, phone pressed against my cheek, hearing my life collapse in waves. He didn't just steal my money. He stole my health, my dignity, my ability to trust. And that's when the anger took root. Slow, cold, and deep. I opened my laptop. Searched for his Instagram handle. Gone. But I remembered he once tagged a photo with a vague location, #Bergeview, #Skylife. I plugged the image into Google reverse image search. That's when everything cracked wide open. The same image, same exact pose, same sunglasses, same watch, showed up on a completely different account under the name Kareem Saeed. Same man. Different name. This account was active. He was still out there. Still posting. I followed the breadcrumbs. That account had tagged a British boutique in London. Then another account, under a woman's name, Layla Saeed _. I clicked her profile. My heart dropped. Layla Saeed. Stunning. Elegant. Designer everything. And one particular post, 2 years old, showed her in a white lace dress, standing beside Kareem, grinning like a man who had just won the lottery. Happiest day of my life. Married my best friend. They weren't cousins. They were married. I scrolled through the comments, heart hammering in my chest. Someone tagged her boutique, Maison Layla, Mayfair, London. A Google search later, I had the phone number and address. My hands shook as I tapped the number. She didn't answer. So I left a voicemail. Hi, Layla. My name's Emily Carter. I don't know how to say this, but I think your husband has been living a double life. I have proof. Please, call me back. I didn't expect her to respond, but she did. 2 hours later, my phone lit up with a call from a UK number. Her voice was calm, clipped, polite. Emily, I got your message. Can we speak privately? The next day, I was on a Zoom call with Layla Saeed. She looked exactly like her photos. Flawless, poised, sipping tea from a china cup in a boutique office that looked like Vogue exploded in it. But her eyes. Haunted. I told her everything. The DMs. The trip. The disappearance. The hotel bill. The HPV. She listened without interrupting. And when I was done, she said softly, "You're not the first." She leaned off camera and returned with a manila folder. "I hired a private investigator last year. Found out he was spending time in Lagos, Casablanca, Dubai. The phone number you mentioned? He used it to register 3 shell companies. I've been tracking his movements for months." My jaw dropped. "Why are you still married to him?" Her smile was hollow. "Prenup. Ironclad. But there's a clause. If I catch him cheating, and I have proof, I get 50% of everything." Then she looked directly into the camera. "Emily, would you like to help me bring him down?" His last kiss tasted like guilt. At the time, I couldn't name it. I thought it was longing or urgency, how he kissed me softly, his lips lingering a beat too long before pulling away. He told me he had a business emergency in Abu Dhabi, but he never broke eye contact. He didn't look like a man in a hurry. He looked like a man saying goodbye. And I was too starstruck to see the truth. Now, sitting across a video call from Layla Saeed, his wife, I realized that kiss was a confession in disguise. Layla and I kept talking after that first Zoom call. She sent me documents, old texts, flight logs, emails she intercepted. At first, I couldn't process it all. The man I had slept with, trusted, envisioned a future with, was a serial predator. She had a spreadsheet. An actual spreadsheet of suspected women. Locations, Instagram handles, dates. He targets women who are either influencers or professionals with international careers, she said, flipping her laptop to show me a map littered with red pins. Dubai is his main stage. Casablanca is his fallback. Lagos, when he's feeling bold. He uses rotating aliases, prepaid cards, and stolen credentials from old business associates. My mouth was dry. How long has this been going on? Her lips flattened. Since before I married him. I blinked. You knew. I suspected, she admitted. But he was careful. He always paid just enough attention to me, bought just enough jewelry to distract me, played just enough husband to keep the lie stitched together. She sighed. I stayed for the brand. For the boutiques. For the image. But after he gave me an STD I had to treat privately, I was done pretending. I gasped. He gave you HPV? She looked away. And I found medication in his briefcase for something far worse. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every memory of Kareem felt like poison dripping back into my bloodstream. His hand brushing mine at the hotel balcony. His deep voice saying, "You're the first woman I've felt safe with." The silk dress he picked out for me at the Dubai Mall. All fake. All part of the script. But my feelings. My pain. My shame. That was real. And I wasn't going to let him walk away this time. 2 weeks after our first call, Layla and I met in person. She flew to New York under the guise of a boutique partnership with a Fifth Avenue fashion house. I took the train from Chicago to meet her at the Langham. When I walked into the suite, she was already seated. Crisp white blazer, glossy red nails, a glass of Merlot in one hand and a folder in the other. "This is how we destroy him," she said. She opened the folder. Inside were photos, screenshots, financial ledgers, chat transcripts. I flinched when I saw my own face. One of my Instagram photos from Dubai. He'd sent it to someone with the caption, "Another one bites the bait." Rage bloomed in my chest. "I've been collecting evidence for a year," she continued. "But I needed another woman to go public. Someone he recently scammed. Someone with documentation, receipts, chat history. You're perfect. I want in," I said. All the way. We agreed on a 3-part plan. Public exposure through a viral campaign, Instagram, Reddit, maybe even a podcast. We'd leak screenshots, compile the stories, expose his faces and aliases. Legal leverage. Layla's prenup would be triggered if Kareem was caught cheating, but only with undeniable proof: photos, videos, financial trail. Financial trap. If we could bait him into making a large financial transfer or signing over an asset under false pretenses, we could both hit him where it hurt. But we needed more than just me. We needed another woman. Someone newer. Someone he was currently working. Someone he hadn't already burned. That's when I remembered the Swedish model. Her name was Tove, pronounced Tuvu. I remembered her vaguely from Instagram. She was tagged in one of Kareem's old photos, back when he was still using the @Kareem_Mosri account. I'd met her. Hi, Tove. This is random. But did you know a man named Kareem? Tall, dark, Dubai-based. She replied 10 minutes later. Yes. Why? I told her everything. She sent her number. An hour later, I was listening to Tove cry on the phone. He made me send him money, she whispered. $200,000. I thought I was investing in his expansion project. My blood turned to ice. He scammed you. Yes. And now my agent's threatening to drop me because I can't pay for my own brand campaign. My face is everywhere, but my bank account is empty. Do you have proof? I have everything, she said. I kept the bank receipts. The voice notes. He said, "You're not just my love, you're my partner." Layla called it immediately. She's our smoking gun. We arranged a group call the next day. Emily, Layla, Tove. 3 women from 3 countries. United by one predator. It felt surreal. But as Tove pulled up Kareem's recent photos, ones he'd sent her just days ago, we saw something terrifying. He was still in Dubai. Still using the same restaurants. The same suite at the same hotel. Still targeting new women. It was like he didn't care. Or worse, he thought no one could touch him. That's when Layla dropped the final piece. "There's one more thing," she said, sliding a new image into the Zoom chat. A woman with sun-kissed skin, glossy black hair, and curves made for a billboard. Her name was Sophia. She's an old client. Brazilian. Massive following. Fluent in 4 languages. And she owes me a favor. I raised an eyebrow. What kind of favor? Layla smiled. The kind that makes men like Kareem beg. There are places you never want to return to, not because of what happened there, but because of what you became inside them. For me, that place was the Al Sahar Palace Hotel in Dubai. It was where I learned how quickly luxury can become a prison. Where I begged, cried, and bargained to keep my passport. Where I discovered that shame speaks every language, and echoes louder when no one believes you. But this time, I wasn't returning as the prey. I was there for evidence. For leverage. For revenge. Layla arranged everything. Her boutique's Dubai partner, an older Emirati woman named Salma, made some calls. A week later, I landed back in the city that had chewed me up and spat me out. But this time, I had backup. Sophia met me at the airport. She was everything Layla promised. Jaw-droppingly gorgeous, radiant with the kind of confidence that turns heads without even trying. She greeted me with a warm hug and a wink. Ready to make a man crumble? Her accent was pure Rio, smooth and rich like dark chocolate. "I've been ready since the day he kissed me goodbye," I replied. The Al Sahar looked exactly the same. Same marble floors. Same floral scent in the lobby. Same concierge who now avoided eye contact like I was a ghost. Only this time, I was a ghost with teeth. Salma's contact had arranged for me to meet the hotel's internal security manager, a man named Yusuf. He was polite but firm, and only agreed to speak after verifying my documentation and scanning my US passport twice. "You are the guest from last year," he said quietly, scanning my face. "The one with the fraudulent suite booking." I nodded. "I need access to the security footage from that week. I believe I was the victim of an organized scam. And I believe your hotel was used as a stage." He sighed. "You're not the first to say this." I blinked. Excuse me. There have been whispers, he said, glancing at the closed office door. 2 other women returned after similar incidents. But none had the proof. You say you have documentation. I reached into my bag and handed him a flash drive. Chat logs. Booking confirmation. Voice notes. Photos. And a timeline. He raised an eyebrow. You were thorough. You have no idea, I said. It took 2 hours, but Yusuf eventually let me into the security archive. There, grainy footage from the hallway outside my suite confirmed what I already knew but had never seen. Kareem entering the hotel at 2:03 a.m. on day 1. Leaving again at 4:11 a.m. on day 4, just before the fraudulent card bounced. He wore a hat. Sunglasses. But it was unmistakably him. Yusuf narrowed his eyes. He never signed in. No ID scan. No guest log. He was always careful, I whispered. But not careful enough. Then Yusuf clicked one more file. This may interest you. The screen flickered. Another camera angle. Hotel Cafe. Day 3. And there, plain as day, was Kareem at brunch, with Lena. But not just talking. Arguing. Lena leaned forward, slammed her hand on the table, and pointed at his left hand. The ring finger. Kareem grabbed her wrist. She pulled away. Then stormed off. My heart stopped. She knew, I whispered. She knew he was married. Yusuf paused the footage. You know this woman? I nodded. Yes. And I need her name. He hesitated. I can't give guest data. I don't need her passport, I cut in. Just tell me what room she stayed in. I can handle the rest. Back at the hotel bar, Sophia was already working. She sat at the corner table wearing a red silk dress that clung to her like sin. Her hair was pinned up, exposing her neck and diamond earrings. Her phone was angled just enough to capture the room in selfie view, Kareem's favorite angle. She'd already messaged him. I'll be in Dubai next weekend. I heard the marina's even sexier in person than in your photos. Within 30 minutes, he replied. Then you've heard right. Let me show you. Hook. Line. Sinker. Meanwhile, I tracked Lena. The hotel registry from Yusuf said she stayed in room 1714. I dug through Kareem's old emails. One of them had a forwarding address buried in the metadata. lena.bokri@gmail.com. A quick search led me to her LinkedIn. Lena Bokri. Real estate developer. Originally from Jordan. Based in Abu Dhabi. I messaged her. You don't know me, but we met briefly at brunch in Dubai. You were with Kareem. I think he's been lying to both of us. No reply. I tried again. He used my name for a hotel scam. Left me with a $25,000 bill and HPV. I'm not asking for help. I just want you to know what he's really doing. Still no reply. But then, at 3:11 a.m. Dubai time, I got a voice note. Emily, I remember you. I wanted to reach out sooner. But Kareem's dangerous. Please. Be careful. The next day, Sophia had her first call with Kareem. She recorded everything. He was already falling into his pattern. Lavish praise, subtle wealth flexes, vague business references. You don't need to worry about hotels. I've got a place. I just want to see you smile in person. He was playing the same song on a new stage. But this time, the audience was setting the trap. Layla flew into Dubai 2 days later. She met us in a private suite, a legal folder in one hand, a concealed camera in the other. She handed it to Sophia. When you're with him, she said softly, make sure this is on. The moment he makes a financial offer, an investment promise, a transfer, record it. Sophia slipped the camera into her purse. And if he tries to sleep with me? Layla's jaw hardened. Let him think he will. But you control the pace. You end it when you get what we need. Sophia winked. He won't know what hit him. I watched them, two women who had every reason to hate each other, now working together like shadows with purpose. And in that moment, I knew. This wasn't just revenge. This was justice. There's a moment right before you hit post, when your fingers freeze over the screen. I stared at the blinking cursor for nearly an hour. The caption read, "I went to Dubai thinking I found the love of my life. Instead, I left with an STD and a $25,000 hotel bill. His name was Kareem, and he's still out there. Please share this before he finds his next victim." Attached were 3 photos. A screenshot of his Instagram profile. A still of the hotel footage showing him leaving in the middle of the night. The final text he ever sent me, "I'll be back by morning, Habibti." Camila was the first to reply after I hit post. "Holy sh*T. Emily. Are you okay?" I wasn't. But I was done hiding. The post went viral in 6 hours. Reddit picked it up. Instagram shares skyrocketed. By the next morning, I had 3 inboxes full of DMs, some full of sympathy, others disturbingly familiar. He did the exact same thing to my cousin. Was his name Kareem Saeed? I met him in Casablanca. I knew that face. He scammed my friend in Paris 2 years ago. One woman sent a voice note. "I know he's dangerous. I didn't say anything because I was too ashamed. But thank you. Thank you for being brave." Shame. That was the thread that bound us all. But I was cutting that thread now. Loudly, publicly. I posted a follow-up with more receipts. Photos from the brunch. Audio from a voice note where Kareem said, "No one understands me like you do." The line between seduction and manipulation was now in plain view. And the world was starting to pay attention. Then came the message that stopped me cold. It was from a private account. No photo. Just a name. Zara Widman. "I have something to tell you. But not here. Check your email." I hesitated. Then opened my inbox. There was a PDF attachment. Titled simply, "Proposal, LuxX Holdings, signed." I clicked it open. My stomach turned. It was a wire transfer contract. A forged document authorizing a $500,000 investment from Kareem Al-Mosri into Zara's now-defunct wellness startup. Only, she never received a cent. Instead, she ended up arrested for fraud in Thailand because Kareem had convinced her to co-sign a lease using falsified credentials. I called Layla immediately. She listened in silence, then exhaled sharply. "That's not just financial abuse. That's criminal fraud. And now it's international." I blinked. "Do you think he knew she'd take the fall?" "Kareem always sets up a fall girl," she said. "Every scam, someone else signs the papers. That way, when the charges come down, he vanishes." Zara wasn't a victim. She was collateral damage. I messaged her again. "You're not alone. We're building something. Stay safe. I'll be in touch." Meanwhile, Sophia had her second video call with Kareem. This time, he wore a silk robe and poured red wine in view of the camera. He leaned into the seduction, low voice, poetic promises. "I don't want to scare you away with too much, too soon," he said. "But I feel like I've known you in another life." Sophia played her role perfectly. "Tell me about your world." He gave her the usual story, a family business in imports, luxury partnerships in Marrakesh and Dubai, a villa in Casablanca. All vague. All unverifiable. Then came the first hook. "You said you were launching your skincare line," he said, swirling his glass. "Maybe we can build something together." He offered to introduce her to his international finance guy. Told her he could help move some funds to show his good faith. And like that, the trap was almost set. Layla had been working with a private investigator to document every step. The moment Kareem made a financial proposal, we'd have enough to begin legal proceedings, not just for the prenup, but for full-scale fraud. But the legal path was just half of it. What I wanted, what I needed, was for him to feel what I felt. To see the walls closing in. To watch every smooth-talking trick crumble under its own weight. He had made me walk out of that hotel like a criminal. Now it was his turn. I went back to the Al Sahar. This time, not as a guest. I walked into the hotel bar at 6 p.m., knowing Sophia would be there an hour later. She planned to accidentally run into Kareem at the rooftop lounge. The moment he leaned in for the kill, we'd have surveillance, audio, everything. But I needed to do one last thing. I went to the concierge. Same man who handed me the invoice. Same thin smile. He recognized me instantly. "Miss Carter. I need your signature on this," I said, sliding a copy of the final invoice across the counter. "Just to confirm I paid everything." He blinked. "Why now?" I smiled. "Because I'm submitting it to a journalist. They're doing a story on American women scammed abroad." He paled. I walked away. At 7:03 p.m., I stood on the rooftop terrace, phone camera angled casually toward the entrance. Sophia walked in. Red dress. Hair down this time. Smile like summer heat. Kareem was already waiting. He rose from the table. Kissed her hand. He looked older. Or maybe just more tired. Like the chase had dulled something in him. But when he leaned across the table, I could see it. He still believed he was untouchable. And that would be his undoing. If you want to find the truth, scream your shame loudly. The right people will hear you. That's what my therapist told me once. Long before I ever heard the name Kareem Al-Mosri. I didn't understand her then. Now. I was living it. Because ever since I made my story public, survivors started appearing from every corner of the internet like whispers finally finding their voice. But one DM stood out. The profile was private. No posts. Just a black and white profile picture of a woman looking away from the camera. Her message was short. But it sliced through me. He proposed to me in Florence. I nearly married him. Her name was Isabelle Laurent. A French-Belgian interior designer based in Nice. She was elegant, measured, and terrifyingly composed. She'd dated Kareem, then using the name Yassine Marzuki, for nearly 8 months in 2021. She told me their first meeting was in Milan during Fashion Week, where he claimed to be scouting for a luxury expansion project. He took her to Florence for a weekend getaway. And that's where he proposed. He gave me a ring from a box that had my initials etched on it, she said, voice brittle over the phone. Said he wanted to build a life with someone who could match his soul. 2 weeks later, he vanished. She filed a missing persons report. Even hired a private investigator. She never found him. Until my post. When I shared Isabel's story with Layla and Sophia, we all sat in stunned silence. We had heard of heartbreak. Of theft. But engagement. Kareem wasn't just scamming wallets. He was writing love stories, then setting them on fire. Layla looked visibly shaken. He proposed to me with the same ring, she whispered. Same initials. Same line. That's when Sophia muttered. He's not seducing women. He's writing a screenplay. And we're all characters. Meanwhile, the sting was nearing its climax. Kareem had invited Sophia to his private villa in Palm Jumeirah. It was a short-term rental booked under a shell company, but we knew the address. Layla's PI had eyes on it. We were ready. At 6:18 p.m., Sophia texted me. He just asked if I trust him. He says he wants to build something real. Minutes later, a follow-up text. He wants to transfer $150,000 into our skincare startup. That was it. The bait. I dialed Layla. Activate the lawyer, I said. We've got him. But just when we thought we had the whole picture, the game changed. Isabel called again. Her voice was shaky. I've been going through my old photos, she said. There's one I never noticed before. A woman in the background. At a cafe in Florence. She's staring at Kareem. She sent me the photo. And my stomach dropped. It was Zara. The woman who sent me the fraudulent business contract. The woman who said she took the fall in Thailand. She had been in Florence. At the same cafe. During his proposal to Isabel. We'd all assumed Zara was a past victim. Now we weren't sure. I messaged her again. Zara. Were you ever in Florence in 2021? She replied almost instantly. Yes. I didn't know she was there. I was watching him. He promised me we'd move to Italy together. He ghosted me. But I tracked him down. I wanted to confront him. But when I saw him with that woman, I froze. I called her. Why didn't you tell me? I was ashamed, she whispered. I didn't know how to explain that I followed a man to another country just to see him again. I didn't want to admit that I still wanted him to choose me. It hit me then. Kareem didn't just scam money. He stole identity. He made women question who they were. He weaponized longing. But now, we were done longing. We were striking. Back in Dubai, Sophia was sitting on Kareem's couch. She had the hidden camera on. The voice recorder was clipped inside her bra. Kareem poured champagne and handed her a folder. Inside, fake LLC documents. A contract promising a $150,000 investment from his personal account into her beauty line. All he asked in return? That she co-sign for a new luxury office suite under her name. Sophia smiled sweetly. You trust me with all this? Kareem laughed. I only trust women who trust me first. She leaned in. Then let's make it official. She clicked her pen. And signed the paper. Layla's attorney was waiting with everything. Voice recordings, screenshots, legal drafts. The prenup stated clearly, any documented extramarital affair nullifies spousal protection clauses. Kareem had no idea that the contract he just slid across the table was his own death sentence. But he'd find out soon. That night, Sophia slipped away while Kareem showered. The signed contract was already with Layla's lawyer. The audio. Uploaded to a secure server. The rental villa was flagged with authorities for ID fraud. Yusuf from the hotel had seen to that. And the fake LLC? A sting entity created with Layla's help. It was done. We had everything. The lies. The fraud. The stolen identities. Kareem was no longer a player. He was a pawn. The first time Layla confronted Kareem about cheating, she was 26, freshly married, and still believed in the power of expensive apologies. Now she was 33, and armed with a legal dossier, a hidden microphone, and a steel backbone forged from betrayal. This time, there would be no apologies. Only endings. Kareem agreed to meet her at the Mandarin Oriental Lounge. He didn't suspect a thing. He thought she was in London, managing her boutique's expansion. Layla had purposely kept her movements off social media. Her entire digital life had gone quiet the week before. Not because she was hiding. Because she was hunting. I watched her from across the lobby. Impeccably dressed, hair swept back, tailored navy jumpsuit, heels clicking like a metronome of war. He stood when she approached, the smug grin of a man who thought he was still adored. Layla, he said, pulling her into a brief hug. Didn't know you were in town. I'm full of surprises, she replied coolly. He didn't see the small camera embedded in the brooch on her chest. She didn't waste time. Kareem, I know everything, she said, voice low but steady. Emily. Sophia. Isabel. Tove. Zara. You've been scamming women across continents for years. He froze. The moment hung in the air like a blade. Don't be dramatic, he said after a beat. This again? You've always been paranoid. Layla slid a USB drive across the table. This contains voice notes, transaction records, and footage from your villa 2 nights ago, where you tried to launder stolen money through a fake skincare company. His jaw flexed. And, she added, enough proof of infidelity to nullify our prenup. He stared at the drive, then looked at her. And then, for the first time, he didn't smile. You think this makes you strong, he said, voice dipping low. You think you win because you brought receipts? Layla didn't blink. I win because I finally stopped believing your performance. You're blowing up a life you built with me, he hissed. I built that life despite you, she snapped. Kareem leaned in. His eyes, once charming, had gone reptilian. You don't know who you're playing with, Layla. You're not the only one with evidence. She didn't flinch. Then bring it. But I doubt your threats will matter once Interpol sees the bank trail you left behind. He laughed bitterly. You think the courts will side with you? I think the courts will love your video confession. She tapped her brooch. For a split second, his mask cracked. And beneath it, there was nothing but venom. Layla walked away from that table with her head high, and her hands shaking. I followed her into the elevator, heart pounding. You okay? She looked at me, eyes glassy. No. But I will be. That night, Layla's lawyer filed the official divorce petition in London. The prenup was nullified. Her legal team froze Kareem's joint accounts and began proceedings to uncover all hidden properties. But Kareem didn't go quietly. He went dark. His Instagram vanished. His emails bounced. His Dubai villa was emptied within hours. By morning, all we knew was that he had disappeared again. But not before he left Layla a message. Typed. Anonymous. Emailed from a burner address. Enjoy your victory. Just remember, you were always my favorite puppet. The message rattled her. And rattled me even more when I got my own version, 2 hours later. You played your role well, Emily. But this story isn't over. I still have one card left. I didn't know what it meant. But I wasn't about to wait to find out. That night, I called Zara. You ever hear of Kareem threatening women before? She was silent for a beat. Not directly. But I once got a text that said, pretty girls disappear every day. I thought it was a coincidence. Now we knew it wasn't. And then, the most unexpected message came through. From an account called Adam Graves 1992. I opened the DM, suspicious. Emily Carter. We've never met. But I think you're the woman my brother scammed. My heart skipped. His real name isn't Kareem. It's Adil Ghassan. And I've been looking for him for 5 years. Predators get sloppier when they feel invincible. But when they feel cornered, they become dangerous. That's what Adam Ghassan, formerly Adam Graves, told me during our first call. His voice was calm, deep, and edged with years of exhaustion. You're not the first to try to take my brother down, he said. But you might be the last if you're not careful. He knew Kareem, real name Adil Ghassan, better than any of us. They were half-brothers. Born in Morocco. Raised separately after Adil was sent to live with an uncle in Rabat, where he allegedly learned business. Business, Adam said, was what they called pickpocketing tourists and flipping fake Rolexes. By 17, Adil had been arrested twice in Spain. By 24, he was fluent in French, Arabic, English, and Italian, and already running romance scams across Europe. He always had a gift, Adam told me. The face, the charm, the lies. He made women feel chosen. Then he disappeared before they realized they'd been robbed. I asked why Adam was speaking to me now. Because he's been using my name, he said bitterly. And because someone has to finish what our mother started when she turned him in 10 years ago. Sophia's job was about to get riskier. Kareem, Adil, had gone underground. But the private investigator found signs of activity. A new Dubai number, a new dating profile under the alias Rami Kauri. Same script. Same polished lies. Same Dubai skyline in the background. He was already baiting another woman. So we made a decision. Sophia would become the new bait. Again. She created a new identity. Valentina Rezende, a Brazilian tech founder temporarily in Dubai on business. Layla's team crafted the backstory, socials, business links, even photos of her app pitch in Lisbon. It was airtight. Almost too perfect. We sent a message on a dating app. Romy, I've been staring at your profile for 5 minutes. You look like someone who'd order expensive wine and drink it slow. Am I wrong? He responded within an hour. Depends who I'm drinking it with. Tell me something real, Valentina. The dance had begun. Meanwhile, Adam sent me a file. A thick PDF with names, photos, and notes. Women Adil had scammed. Some lost money. Some lost reputations. Some were still hiding from the fallout. And then I saw it. A name I recognized. Julia Reynolds. A former co-worker from a Chicago startup I'd interned with 5 years ago. I hadn't seen her in ages, but her Instagram had gone quiet a year ago. Adam had a note beside her name. Engaged. $300,000 wire. Mental health crisis after betrayal. I swallowed hard. These weren't just women with broken hearts. These were lives wrecked. Years stolen. We needed to finish this. Sophia's digital flirtation escalated fast. Romy, aka Adil, offered her a sunset yacht cruise on day 4. Classic play. Expensive backdrop, subtle love bombing, emotional vulnerability. I don't normally open up this fast, he told her over a voice call, but you feel easy to talk to. Like I don't have to pretend. She recorded every second. Layla listened back with folded arms. He's accelerating. He knows we're close. Sophia nodded. I think he's planning to disappear again. This is his last run. We had to act. The plan was simple, but lethal. Sophia would get him to sign another partnership agreement on the yacht. We'd planned a fake investment opportunity. An exclusive Brazilian cosmetics launch backed by fictional investors. Kareem would transfer $100,000 as a gesture of commitment. This time, however, the transaction would be traced by Adam's contact, an ex-cybercrimes analyst turned whistleblower. It wasn't just bait. It was a net. Yacht day arrived with the heat of a slow-burning fuse. Sophia wore emerald green, a color Adil once told her drove him crazy. She kept her voice low, her laugh sincere. She was magnetic. Irresistible. A dream inside a trap. The yacht floated just beyond the marina, cameras rolling silently from discreet angles. Our PI was on a nearby boat with a drone. Layla and I waited in a car on shore, headphones on, hearts pounding. Then it happened. Adil, I want to be part of your future. Not just with words. With real action. Sophia. Show me then. Adil. I'll wire the first 100 tonight. For starters. She leaned in. Then let's toast to our empire. They clinked glasses. It was done. Later that night, the wire hit the fake account. $100,000. Traceable. Admissible. And, thanks to Kareem using his Romy Cowrie alias, a direct link to identity fraud across multiple jurisdictions. It was enough to trigger not just Layla's full divorce asset clause, but the UAE's financial crime statutes. He had no idea, but we were already compiling a formal case with Interpol. We were this close. But then, the unthinkable happened. Sophia texted me. He wants to meet me alone tomorrow night. At a villa outside the city. No staff. Just us. I froze. Layla read the message. Her face paled. No, she said immediately. We pull her out. We've got what we need. But Sophia replied before we could stop her. I'm going. He said he wants to talk about marriage. There's a difference between confidence and courage. Confidence is what gets you in the room. Courage is what keeps you there when the door locks behind you. Sophia Rezende, our stunning Brazilian bait, our unbreakable ally, walked into that villa just after 8 p.m. dressed like a woman ready to be adored. She wasn't wearing fear. She was wearing war. The villa was outside Dubai's city limits, secluded, surrounded by sand and imported palms. It was an Airbnb under a fake Russian shell company. The private investigator confirmed it had only been booked for 3 nights, with no intention of staying longer. The last time Adil had used a setup like this, he fled a day later. This was his exit strategy. Sophia knew this might be the only night we'd have to catch him in the act, and possibly the last night she'd ever be able to look him in the eye without him knowing who she really was. She was wired with a micro camera tucked in her necklace. The signal ran live to the surveillance van outside, where Layla, the PI, and I were parked in total silence, watching everything through grainy screens. My pulse hadn't dropped below triple digits in over an hour. Adil. You came. Sophia. I told you, I'm not like the other women. Adil. Chuckles, that's what they all say before they ask me for things. Sophia. What if I asked for nothing? He grinned. That charming, predatory grin we all knew too well. Then I'd ask for everything. Dinner was already prepared, imported wine, gourmet food, jazz in the background. He was putting on a show, one he'd performed for women across 4 continents. But this time, we had the script memorized. Adil. I've been thinking about Lisbon. You and me. Maybe buying a place there. Something simple. Sophia. Are you proposing? Adil. What if I am? The room went quiet. Then Adil stood up and reached into his pocket. Our breath caught. But it wasn't a ring. It was a black velvet pouch. He set it on the table, slowly. Sophia reached for it. Inside, a diamond necklace. Real. Heavy. Adil. You deserve to feel owned. Sophia. What if I already do? Their eyes locked. Our screens flickered. The moment felt like the edge of a knife. Adil. Let's celebrate. I'll pour the wine. He walked into the kitchen. And that's when Sophia whispered into her necklace. He's setting something up. Feels off. Be ready. Then the signal glitched. Just once. For about 3 seconds. Static. Then it returned. We could see Adil return with the wine. But his eyes, his energy, had changed. He was watching her too closely now. Sophia played it cool, but I could see it. The slight shift in her posture. The sudden chill in her voice. Sophia. You okay? Adil. I should ask you that. He smiled. But it wasn't warmth. It was warning. Outside, the PI muttered. He knows. Layla clenched her fists. We pull her now. But Sophia was already speaking again. Sophia. What if I told you I know about Emily? Adil. Pause. Who? Sophia. And Layla. Zara. Isabel. He set the wine down. Adil. Then I'd say you should leave. She stood slowly, heart pounding so loud we could hear it through the mic. Sophia. Maybe I will. Or maybe I'll just wait for the authorities. That's when Adil lunged. It was fast. Animal. Instinct. He grabbed her arm, yanked the necklace clean off. Camera went black. The van erupted. Move. The PI and his team bolted from the vehicle, guns drawn. I sprinted behind them, Layla screaming into her phone for backup. The villa door was locked, but within seconds, the agents forced it open. Inside, the living room was wrecked. Wine spilled. Chairs knocked over. But Sophia was standing. Bruised. Shaking. But alive. Adil was gone. The back patio door was wide open, leading straight into the dunes. They searched all night. No sign of him. The car he used was ditched at the edge of the city. Inside, they found fake IDs, cash, a burner phone, and a printed document. A passenger flight booked under the name Mark Delgado to Casablanca. Departure, midnight. He was always one step ahead. But not anymore. We turned everything over to Interpol. They now had voice recordings, financial transfers, video of physical assault, a signed contract with a fake business, international aliases tied to previous cases. Adil Ghassan was now on a global watch list. His bank accounts were frozen. His shell companies dismantled. His name, all of them, flagged in 3 countries. But I still didn't sleep. Because the final voicemail came the next morning. It was from an unknown number. No name. No caller ID. Just a voice. You think this is over because I ran? I don't disappear, Emily. I transform. And one day, when you're least expecting it, you'll feel me again. Like perfume on a stranger. Like déjà vu. You'll wonder if I was ever real. Or if I still am. Silence. Then, chillingly. You should check your locks. You never forget the man who ruined you. But sometimes, you remember him differently. Less as a person, more like a virus you outlived. It took us months to clean up the mess Adil left behind. Interpol issued a red notice. UAE Financial Crimes opened a formal investigation. French authorities reactivated an old warrant. Every woman who sent evidence helped reinforce the case. His empire, built on charm and stolen identities, was unraveling thread by thread. But what broke him wasn't the courts. It was the woman he thought he'd silenced. Layla filed for divorce with the firepower of a woman scorned and legally armed. Her attorneys, now bolstered by Adam's testimony and over a dozen women's statements, laid out a 143-page case. It included 7 counts of identity fraud, 4 known aliases, 11 documented victims, illegally transferred assets across 3 countries, evidence of physical assault on Sophia. The prenup was obliterated. In its place, a marital asset seizure order that froze every known holding tied to his name, past or present. And thanks to Adam, we uncovered 3 hidden properties in Dubai, Casablanca, and Spain. One of them, registered in Layla's name, without her knowledge. Poetic justice. The day Layla served Adil the papers, she wore red. We hired a courier to hand-deliver them to his sister's apartment in Morocco, the only confirmed family tie he hadn't burned. Inside the envelope, a divorce decree, a list of frozen assets, and a single note in Layla's handwriting. You built your life on women. I rebuilt mine on the ashes. The story could have ended there. But karma doesn't like open endings. One afternoon, I received a message request on Instagram. From a woman named Senna Thompson. Profile private. No bio. Just this. Hi, Emily. I think I have a son with the man who scammed you. My heart stopped. We spoke that night. Senna was British-Nigerian, soft-spoken, a freelance photographer who met Adil, then Omar Cowrie, in Lagos 4 years ago. He said he was an investor traveling between Ghana and Dubai. They dated briefly. Then he vanished. She later discovered she was pregnant. She never told him. But a few months ago, she came across one of my interviews. I recognized his smile. It was like seeing a ghost. Her son, Noah, was 3 years old now. She wasn't asking for money. She wanted DNA confirmation. For him, for peace. And maybe closure. Adam agreed to help. He used an old grooming brush that had Adil's hair from a storage box he never threw away. Remnants of a man he used to love as a brother. Before that word meant nothing. The results came in 2 weeks later. 99.9% match. Adil had a child. A son. A legacy. The one thing he couldn't charm or cheat his way out of. We filed a legal notice with Adil's last known attorney, informing him of his paternity and Senna's rights to pursue retroactive child support if she chose to. But that wasn't the bombshell. That came when Senna gave us permission to include the paternity evidence in our civil case against Adil, proving he not only defrauded women emotionally and financially, but abandoned a child knowingly. With that revelation, the courts in London granted Layla 60% of all frozen assets, and added a moral damages clause that publicly labeled Adil Ghossan as a repeat emotional predator. His reputation evaporated. One final twist arrived weeks later. I received a small box. No return address. Inside, a pair of earrings. The same ones I wore the night Adil left me in Dubai. They'd been missing ever since. Alongside them, a note. "You'll never forget me. But I promise, no one else will either. A." I stared at the earrings for a long time. Then I threw them into Lake Michigan. We don't know where Adil is now. Interpol suspects he fled Morocco. Adam believes he might be in Southeast Asia, where he once operated under a fake NGO front. His digital trail is cold, but the world is small. And karma is patient. The story isn't about hunting him anymore. It's about what we built after he was gone. Layla launched a non-profit that supports women scammed in international fraud cases. She named it Phoenix Legal Aid. The logo is a bird with burning feathers and red heels. Sophia returned to Brazil and actually launched her skincare brand. She called it Valentina, the name she used to bait him. It now ships globally and just landed a shelf in Sephora, Sao Paulo. Senna wrote an op-ed for The Guardian about what it means to raise a child born of betrayal, and how love can rewrite legacy. Me. I started speaking publicly. TEDx. Podcasts. A docuseries is in the works. And yes, I still have the STD. But I also have my voice. I turned my trauma into a torch. A panel talk in New York City. I'm on stage with Sophia and Layla. The moderator asks us, "If Adil were watching this right now, what would you say?" Sophia smiles. "He should try our new night serum. Helps with aging." Layla leans into the mic. "I took your life, and I made it worth something." I smile too. Then say, "You gave me hell. I turned it into a platform. Now the world watches you fall." If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts below. Would you choose love or loyalty? And don't forget to subscribe for more true secrets every day.